Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fastest growing Omani Startup Showcase. We are honored by your presence. The fastest growing Omani Startup Event Showcase aims to uncover the achievements and successes of 7 disruptive startups in Oman and highlight their presence locally and internationally. After presenting, entrepreneurs will gain access to guidance, advice, and recommendations from a panel of experts. And now, we are proud to welcome on the stage Mohammed Al-Rasbi, Managing Director at Oman Technology Fund, who will be facilitating this event. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm very honored to be here, and we have 7 amazing founders that have gone through a long journey of and reaching the stage. They're valued, and hopefully during their presentation they might share their valuation. But main point is these are the stars of Oman, and we're very excited to have them here today. And would like to thank the SME Authority for this initiative. This is the first one that's been held that highlights and celebrates the Omani startups and the Omani startup ecosystem. And I think if we have more and more of these, will be amazing. Our first startup and the founder, Talal Mukhtar Hassan, the founder of 44.01, recently been awarded by Prince William for an amazing award. He told me previously that they did not even know that they can actually win until the last minute. And this has been a very amazing journey, and we want Talal to come up stage and share his presentation.
Any sound? Okay, perfect. Do I have a clicker, something that I can change the slides with? Or will you change for me? Superb. Shukran. Thank you. Okay, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. My name is Talal. I'm the founder of 4401, and I think I speak on behalf of the other entrepreneurs here that it's really hard to condense all our work into 5 minutes, but I will do my best. Is there a timer, or shall I just do my best to...
It's on the screen. Already
oh,
started.
the timer started already. Excuse me, I'm going to overshoot by 30 seconds then. So we're 4401. We eliminate CO2. And what happened was we looked at this challenge, we looked at climate change, and what we realized was the common denominator with climate change was greenhouse gases and emissions, and carbon dioxide forms the largest part of that. So this is why we named ourselves after the molecular mass of carbon dioxide, because we saw it as an opportunity versus a challenge, which most people see it as. So what we do is we rely on a process called mineralization, carbon mineralization. So this is when a rock reacts with CO2 and converts it into another rock. The rock we are using is a rock called peridotite. Peridotite is typically found 40 kilometers in the subsurface. However, here in Oman, we are blessed with this rock that's been pushed up to our surface. We have the largest deposit of this rock in the world. And when this rock comes in contact with carbon dioxide and water, it mineralizes, and it removes the carbon dioxide permanently. It's a natural process, and what our technology does is we accelerate this natural process, and we accelerate it by about 100,000 times in the subsurface. So we take a captured CO2, so this is mostly from direct air capture, so big fans that suck in atmospheric air, strip out the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. We then dilute that CO2 into a fluid, and we inject it into the subsurface, where we can control various parameters, such as pH levels, temperatures, and we can speed up this natural reaction. eventually eliminating the carbon dioxide, which was once in our atmosphere. The business model is a service model. A lot of businesses now are wanting to decarbonize. So what we can do is we can take carbon dioxide from anyone, from power plants, from cement plants, from steel plants, as well as direct air capture. And we take that CO2, and for a small fee, we effectively convert that carbon dioxide into a carbon credit. We then hand that carbon credit back to the customer. And that customer can do one of two things. They can either sell the carbon credit, or they can retire it and use it themselves to decarbonize their operations. This is a scalable model. Oman is not the only place in the world that is blessed with this rock. We have other territories such as the United States of America, Europe, Australia, the UAE. So this is a scalable model, and we do want to scale this. We don't want to do all of this in Oman. We want to be an exporter of our process and an exporter of technology from Oman. This is our innovation hub. This is located in Barka. I don't know if you can see very clearly here, but we have the world's first direct air capture plant, which is operated using solar. We also have the world's first biodiesel plant, which is operated using solar. And what we do is we use biodiesel from waste cooking oils as a substitute fuel at night, because we have to power this using renewables. We've had some great commercial traction so far. We've had an advanced purchase from Climeworks. Climeworks is a direct air capture company, the leading direct air capture company in the world. We've also had an advanced purchase from Stripe, a leading payment portal, as well as Shopify. We were also one of the lucky recipients of Elon Musk's X Prize, where we won a $1 million milestone award, which was to build a project called Project Hajar, which is a project we are doing with a British carbon capture company called Mission Zero. We've also done the world's first point source capture to mineralization advanced purchase. So this is taking CO2 from an ammonia plant here in Oman, and we are mineralizing that and converting it into a carbon credit. Last slide, team. We have a very diverse team. We're mostly Omani, we're proud of that. But we also have other expertise. We have people from oil and gas, reservoir engineers, well engineers. We also have academia, and these are people who've been studying this process for the last decade. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
We have panelists here of experts that are going to give some feedback to Talal with regards to his startup. Leave the floor open to you.
Hi, Talal. I was lucky enough to spend a little bit of time with you at the British Embassy residence last night. So I heard a little bit more of the story, which was incredible. Like, genuinely, you and your team should be extremely, extremely proud for this, world first. A couple of questions, if you don't mind. So the plant at the Innovation Centre that you outlined there, and the depths that potentially need to be drilled in the future as you start to go beyond the surface. The business model, the capital expenditure intensity that might come, are you confident that the market for carbon credits direct to private sector organisations will allow for that to take place without public sector support, whether that be locally or internationally?
Question. Sorry, very good question. So the beauty about what we are building is that we utilize a lot of the oil and gas infrastructure. So we are using the same drill rigs, the same reservoir engineers. So this is effectively an energy transition. So that equipment exists today, unlike some other green technologies where you have to build out those assets. The boreholes that we're drilling are 1,000 meters. So these are what oil and gas would consider as shallow wells. So they are quite scalable. We can drill one of these within 5 days. All the infrastructure, we're aiming to be able to deliver these in each borehole in less than 6 months. In terms of pricing, you're absolutely spot on. So when we first started this journey, carbon credit pricing was about $30 a credit. And when we went into meetings and we said, look, carbon credit prices will exceed $100, which is what we felt we needed to make this business model feasible, people kicked us out of the room. Today, we've gotten advanced purchases close to $300 per carbon credit. And the reason why is we didn't anticipate this, but because we are eliminating the carbon dioxide rather than burying it underground, like some of the other storage solutions, that gives a longer durability and permanence, which we didn't know at the time, but people are willing to pay a higher price for. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Talal. One more question, or two actually. On one of the slides, it said 500 to 600 kilograms per ton of rock. So is there sort of a natural limitation, or can that rock repeatedly absorb? And the second question is, business model is basically decarbonization as a service. From the drilling and all of that, are you going to license that, or like a franchise, or how would that work? Will you own the overseas assets as well?
Two very good questions. I'll take the second one first. So we have just now launched a licensing model. We're in the process of figuring that out, because what we realized was we have a concession now, and it was really difficult to get land. And here in Oman was a bit easier because we are from here, but when we're dealing with governments in the US or the UAE, it was much trickier. So we wanted something that was a bit more scalable, and what we realized was the oil and gas companies, the mining companies, these are people who are already sitting on concessions of this rock. So if we could develop a licensing model, they also have the emissions, and they would be able to put their CO2 away much cheaper. So we are looking now at a licensing model. It is a digitized licensing model. It's not going to be around the borehole design. It's going to be more around the digitization of creating that credit from our process. I apologize, I forgot the first part of the question.
Well, the first one was whether there's a sort of natural limitation, or if the rock can absorb
Absolutely.
multiple times.
Yeah, so for every ton of peridotite, we can fit 500 to 600 kilos of CO2. So what that means is in each borehole, from our calculations, we could mineralize in a borehole for up to 20 years. And we are trying to reach a kind of break-even point financially for each borehole of around 10 years. So that's the figure. So when we inject, the fluid actually spreads. So it goes outwards. It doesn't mineralize in the borehole. It mineralizes outside in a radius, about a 1 kilometer radius. And then it slowly comes back in.
Talal, fantastic model, super impressive. When you embark on your scaling journey, as you showed it on the world map, what's kind of the revenue projection and your investment need over the next 2 or 3 years, and who is most likely your investor?
Yeah, so the revenue over the next few years, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's not very high. It really picks up around 2027, 2028, when we actually have more boreholes implemented. Right now, we've done a pilot injection, and we've understood a lot of things in the subsurface, which have never been tried before. It's the first borehole in peridotite that's ever been drilled in the world. We are now scaling up that pilot. So as we speak, we're actually working on a commercial demonstration. And from there, we will then refine the design and how we inject. So I think we have about $3 million worth of contracts from those logos that we showed you up there. And the plan is to deliver those over the next 2 years. And thereafter, we'll probably do kind of bigger, more longer-term projects.
Thank you very much, Talal. Thank you for the feedback, and thank you for the questions to the jury panels. Our next founder is Maad Al-Hinai, founder of Ansar. As everyone knows, Ansar basically saved the day during COVID when they were able to launch their laptops for all students in the schools when everything went online. Also, if I'm not mistaken, they're Microsoft certified. They received something which I think one of 6 vendors, and I think he'll explain more about this. They're one of 6 vendors worldwide to have received this. Maath, please.
You were so good. I'm ready to go now.
Sure if you can hear me? Yes. All right. So have you thought of operating with few clicks of a button? Deploying, for example, laptops in few clicks of a button. Even if you are spread over so many geographical areas, but you can still deploy it with a minimum cost. Have you thought of operating your manufacturing facilities or whatever plants that you have with few clicks of a button? If you have legacy systems with a long lifespan and you don't need to invest for newly fleets, for example, you can still digitize these vessels and yet get state-of-the-art fourth industrial revolution products. We help you do that. We help you automate, we help you digitize, we help you reach your operation excellence with minimum cost. So I'll take you through the journey and how we developed over the years. I would say we founded the company during our college days, and we just had so many ideas. But we didn't focus on a niche solution, but it was important for our learning curve. We learned a lot during the first 5 years before designing the first single board computer in the region, which is basically a computer that you can have on a credit card size. It was important for us as the first real product where we tested that our market is a bit small, we need something which is more scalable. So our competencies allowed us to think of something bigger, something that is available in every house, available in every office, which is the PC. And we had the expertise to do that at the time. So we signed an agreement with Intel in 2019, and we started designing our first laptop. A year later, after so many reviews with Intel, we were able to sign with Microsoft, so we became a partner with Microsoft. And in October 2020, we closed our first round of investment, and we also launched our first product, which was the first Omani laptop that was designed locally. And in 2020, we also went back to designing and reforming our business plan to include IoT as well as the PC product. So mainly, we have 2 main lines of business. We have the PCs. We design special PCs that we talk about in the next slide, but we also provide automation, control, and using IoT solutions. So if we talk about the products, we don't just provide normal PCs, but for example, our second product, which was named Terse after Omani tool, which was used for defense. During the COVID times, everyone was struggling with security. Everyone was struggling with deployment. So we provided the most secured Windows device ever in terms of an engineering structure. We were actually the first local OEM partner in the world to get this certificate with Intel and Microsoft as well. With Kitab, our educational product, after winning the tender of 39,000 devices, which was delivered in extraordinary timing, which was 4 months during COVID times, we saw the potential in the educational sector. We designed what we called Kitab. And we made it more interactive. The logo, for example, turns red if the battery goes down, so the parent or the teacher knows that the student have a low battery device. We've added so many innovation in this, like, for example, if you ask your student or your son or your daughter not to play on the internet and they connect to the Wi-Fi, it turns blue. And it also gives the option to ask multiple choice questions, and it can, if they choose A, it turns red, B, white, or blue. So we added these kind of innovations, which eventually led us to be recognized by Microsoft. We are one of the 14th company in the world to have secured core PCs certified by Microsoft, and we are one of the PC giants in the world. That also gave us a global recognition. We came in the second place alongside HP and just behind Lenovo for Microsoft Partner of the Year award in the innovation in modern device category. So doing that in 2 years with the lower budgets compared to our competitors is a huge achievement, I would say, for a local company. So PC business in numbers, we have manufactured 68,000 devices. We have 20% returning customers in PC business, although it's not due for refreshment, which is usually takes 3 years. So we have a pretty good number of returning customers. We have service providers spread across the country, from Sendem to the Fars. So if you buy a laptop, you make sure that you will have the best service. Most importantly, we have a very competent and diverse local team, which help us reach to international and global stages. If we talk about our IoT sensor or IoT solutions, I spoke about digitizing, for example, legacy systems. We have a project with Asyad. They have legacy systems like local or vessels. Their lifespan is very long, and technologies come and go, but we help them digitize them and integrate a state-of-the-art IoT and AI predictive maintenance solutions, so they were able to obtain these solutions. And we also work with a couple of other vendors, although they have automated systems, but they are not connected together, so we help them have a single dashboard where they have all these standalone systems connected together. So we empower our customers with the latest and most advanced technologies. Our clients spread along all the verticals: government, oil and gas, telecom, services, you name it, and also startups. We have some startups as our customers here. Our future technologies, we are doing some niche solutions, which is the future of AI. We call it neuromorphic computing. It's Answer is one of the very few companies that is participating in this research. We are due to launch some products in New Year's, or let's say 1 or 2 years' time. Thank you for listening. So that's it for Answer.
Thank you, Mark. To the panelists, if you have any recommendations, suggestions for Answer and the way forward as potentially part of their work plan that should concentrate on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I actually have a question that probably is very obvious for you on the PC manufacturing side and one on the IoT side. So on the PC manufacturing side, the famous chip shortage problem. Now you're probably in competition with the big ones, even though you're one of the 14. How is that going to affect your business going forward? You've established this in 2 years, but now with the semiconductor crisis really hitting harder, how are you going to deal with that from a manufacturing standpoint? And on the IoT side, if you can just re-explain from sort of also an interoperability standpoint, how it works.
Sort of. Can you repeat that?
From the interoperability, so how your solution speaks to other existing solutions and how integratable it is.
Yeah. So in terms of PC and if we talk about the semiconductor crisis, we've all faced it. I think Adnan also faced it in the hardware business. We have designed at some point one of the products, and one of the chips the cost was $1. And when we finished designing, it was around $4. And one of them was $4, and when we finished the design, it was $40. But the good thing about us is that we can accommodate these changes of the dynamic market, and we've changed the designs to accommodate or replace these missing parts. And also one important thing is when it comes to PCs, we secure our production line for the full year. So we have agreements with, for example, if we talk about the processors with Intel and so on and so forth, we have the production plan for the full year. And any ad hoc order, we secure all the components beforehand. So we never had the issue, even during the semiconductor crisis with delivering products. I remember at one time, we won a tender for 39,000. It was at the peak time of the semiconductor crisis. I know that other tenders were floated even before us, and they were not able to deliver, for example, 2,000 devices. They were delivering it 5 months after us, and we delivered 39,000 devices 5 months earlier. So we don't have that problem because we have a dynamic team. Our solutions are end-to-end, are developed in-house. If we have shortage in one component, we will change our design accordingly. So in terms of how does it work together, our team is formed in a way that allows us to accommodate both. So we have industrial design teams, and we have hardware developers as well. We have dashboard designers. So we have two separate teams that work interconnectively to produce these products. And most importantly, we have a good partnership with Microsoft and Intel, which gives us the insight about the market, how it's developing, where it's going, what's the future for the PC business, what's the future of AI or IoT solutions. So we get that knowledge and expertise even from third parties.
Particularly fascinated by the IoT solutions. I think it's brilliant. We absolutely need what you are doing in so many markets. How do you plan to install your sensors, connectors, connect up to ERP systems, etc.? Are you going to hire a large service force, or how is this going to work?
Yeah. So our solutions are modular, and we made it a solution for dummies, if I may say. There are a lot of books for example, machine learning for dummies and so on. So it would require minimum input from engineers. So if you want to deploy our solutions, I can give it to a non-technical guy, and they can install it, and they can yet get the same result as our engineers do. So we made it, we've developed this, we have revisited the designing of the platform in order to make it for non-technical guys to deploy it. Our plan is to concentrate on Oman for deployment of IoT devices, but we are in advanced discussions with some partners in Qatar and Kuwait. The good thing about our development that took us around a year, that our solution can be deployed by even non-technical guys, and yet you get the same insight, you get to connect the same solutions, you get to connect all the systems that you want to, with minimum input from technical teams.
As we've been talking about ecosystems all day and to the value of Oman, it's an obvious recommendation to say localize as much of the supply chain as we possibly can whilst maximizing as much of the global sales opportunity. You had a very impressive customer array that you showed us. What's the opportunity beyond the border, and how far and wide can you go, given you're one of the 14 that Microsoft is recommending?
Yeah. We've had so many opportunities, to be honest with you, in the GCC region, and we have a lot of opportunities arising from Africa, and we are also about to discuss some opportunities in America. We want to leverage some tax rules between Oman and America, so our next product have some unique feature that we believe that there is a serious demand for that PC type in the US. So we want to we want to start with people that shares our same culture, that shares our same consumer behavior, and shares the same burdens as we have in the local market. Locally, as I mentioned earlier, we want to do it directly with our customers, but we want to convey this message with our partners in the region. We've already started discussing that with potential partners to deploy our solutions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maad. Our next founder, he said to be nice to me, so I'll try to be as nice as possible, is Saeed Al-Rashdi, founder of Bima. He doesn't remember this, maybe he's getting old, but we met the first time 1996. We were planning to build a company that designed websites, developed websites. But then he went on a different path, and I went on a different path, and 30 years later, we meet again. Saeed?
كليكر ما بدل الوقت. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. معكم سعيد بن ناصر راشدي, founder of Bima. Bima is, I mean, it's not fair because the first two presentations were so exciting, and I'm here to talk about insurance. I don't think I can make it any exciting, but I'll try my best. Bima is an insurance platform that allows people to compare prices between different insurance companies and choose the best one for them. It's integrated with the police database and with technical databases, so the customer can only or has only to put his car car's number and license number, and get the insurance offers immediately. It has a very sophisticated underwriting engine that allows us to take all the variables that's needed by the insurance companies to give the right offer for the car. We are offering offers from 13 different insurance companies. We do motor, medical, life, travel, and labor insurance, and we are licensed by the authorities. Bima has various channels, and the idea here is we are not going to be just a website. Website bima.com is our main selling channel, but we do have a B2B platform that allows us to market to the commercial customers. We have a set of APIs that is being used by all the famous web apps in the country, and they are consumed by them in order to provide the insurance service within their apps. So we're hoping to become the de facto back-end insurance provider in the country. We have a nice integration with WhatsApp. When we were one of the earliest ones that integrated so well that if a customer sends a picture, the system knows that this picture is related to that specific transaction. So things become much easier in Oman when you have WhatsApp. People really depend on WhatsApp. And then we have the app. We didn't want to start providing the service in an app because, generally speaking, you do only insure your car once a year, and it doesn't make sense to have an app in your phone. But then we thought that there are a lot of added value that we can provide after or post-service. So we use the app now to call for roadside assistance, to start a claim, or there are some other services that allows you to benefit from the application without having to, not for buying the insurance. We are happily catering for 10% of the Omani market now. We have only been here for 2 years. We have issued 1.8 million quotations. We are now making around $13.7 million of annual GMV and 1.8 million of net revenue. We do more than 100,000 policies a year. The average is 13% commission, and we have a fantastic LTV to CAC rate of 56. We don't need to spend much money to acquire customers. The monthly figures has been growing very well, and if we go this way, we hope to be between 20 to 25% of the market by the end of next year, inshallah. There are a few things that makes Bima a bit special. It's not just a normal aggregator that you see every day. We are one of the first ones to start implementing RPA, which is a way of issuing policies for companies that doesn't have API. Rihal here, who is going to present soon, is the one who is providing the service for us. Thank you. We have one of the best underwriting engines, as I mentioned. We can take in consideration any request needed by the insurance company. If they want to know if the customer has been speeding last year, or he had an accident, or his car is more than 4 cylinders, or it's made in China, or whatever variable they'd like to have, we can implement it and we can calculate for it. We are connected to the government data, and we have one of the largest technical and pricing databases in the country. So we are now being used as a valuation engine for the insurance companies when they want to evaluate cars. We're also very proud of our API sets. When we started, none of the insurance companies has API, so none of them were able to communicate with us in a completely online format. But we helped few of them to start that, and now we are providing APIs, as I mentioned, for the apps across the country. We plan to, the B2B platform hasn't been launched yet. We'll be launching it very soon. And we are hoping next year to move to a new country and just go quickly. And hopefully we'll be Hopefully we'll be a leader in the insurance marketplace in 3 of the nearby countries. Already the discussions has been made, the license is being acquired, and we are very optimistic about starting it soon. And we are hoping for a $50 million revenue. Wait for us. Thank you. Nothing here that makes sense. Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you, Said.
Less than 5 minutes?
Yeah, you actually have 15 seconds
I should be getting
left.
some points for that. Thank you.
And actually, you made it very interesting for an insurance company. Thank you, Said.
Thank you.
Our panelists, if comments, questions, recommendations for Said and the insurance company.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Really impressive. When you talk about your market share figures, and with the ambition to go from 10% today, I think, to 20 to 25% next year, is that market share of all policies issued or market share of policies issued via a comparison site?
It's all the whole country. Yeah. But I'm talking about individual motor. So a very specific line of insurance, but I'm talking about the whole country.
Great. Well, thank you. And just to follow on to that, I noticed on your really helpful statistics slide that you had 100,000 policies or so issued within the year and 1.8 million quotes or proposals.
Yes.
Are you running analysis on the churn between the proposal and the policy?
Yes.
And how many return visitors and things
when we
like
started,
that?
we had 10 to 1 on average. So out of 10 quotations, one would convert. And now we talk about 2.2, like 22% average conversion rate.
And do you know why they're departing? Why they're going somewhere else to buy their policies?
We figured when we started that people will be using Bima to check the prices and go buy directly. That was fine, because now we are having the largest database of vehicles in the country. Even if you don't buy the insurance, we will still keep the data. Next year, we'll be ready to give you a best offer that you can't resist.
And sorry, just final question. Are you monetizing the advertising capability that many eyeballs are generating?
Not really. Not really. That's a good idea, but I haven't started doing any advertisement yet.
Good luck.
But we are trying to affiliate with some other businesses where they are providing free service to our customers. In return, we are advertising for them within our platform. That's happening.
Great, well done.
Yeah, two questions from my side as well. The way it looked on that same statistics slide, it's like $1 per quotation that you're actually making. Did you see any
yes,
change in
$1
that?
per actual acquisition, per actual sale.
Because it was 1.8 million quotations and 1.8 million revenue. So so it's $1 per.
$1 per. What I calculated is the marketing cost against the actual policies issued.
Okay.
So we do spend approximately $1 per new customer acquired.
Okay. Second question. Insurance always has this thing, like you interact with the customer typically once a year or on a bad instance, which is a claim, right? How are you going to change that? How are we going to utilize, similar to the question around the data, how do you want to increase the frequency of interaction with your customers to positively connotate? Because otherwise, once you've reached your plateau on market share, kind of that interaction will be limited, right? It's renewal, but then it's not a growth model, it's a renewal model, right? And if we look at that from a regional perspective, you're going into quite a stiff competition. Yeah. What are the differentiators in that, maybe?
We tend to have very exciting and very interesting social media accounts to keep the public excited, to keep customers involved, and we do have raffle draws and gifts all the time. That keeps them coming back to our profiles from time to time. But to keep in a good relation with the customer, we need to add a value. We are licensed as a broker, so there isn't much we can do. And even if the customer has an accident, we don't have to pay him anything. So we are just making our money and getting out of the picture. But in order to keep the relation good, we have to have an added value in the whole transaction. So we are about to introduce a car replacement program that's not being offered by the insurance company. So that gives the customer an added advantage by using Bima that he doesn't get by the insurance company directly.
Yeah, last one, if I may. At this growth rate, this impressive growth rate, you will capture a huge chunk of the Omani market very, very soon.
Thank you.
Do you have any plans for regional expansion? And if so, how difficult is it in a highly regulated market? You need access to government data, to police data.
Right. Absolutely right.
And you are regulated by the Financial Services Oversight.
You know, it's a big challenge because every country we go to, we have to acquire licenses and we have to set up offices, and it's quite a big investment initially. That's why we were on the verge of moving to a new country or opening a new country 1 year ago, and then we decided that due to that high cost, let's stabilize ourselves in Oman, know our business very well, make enough money to be able to exceed. We will not be able to go, I mean, Bima is already breaking even and it's making profit. So we are very sustainable here in Oman. But in order to grow to new countries, we'll have to raise some fund. And we are on the verge of whether we'll do it or not. There are countries nearby that limits the commission that a broker can make, for example. In Saudi, you can only take 2%, and I'm making an average of 13%. So it wouldn't be viable for me to consider them. But there are other countries that doesn't have any similar solution, and they have some really decent offering that we can provide. 2 countries in GCC that I'm planning to go for, and I'm hoping that it'll work out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saeed.
شكرا بارك الله فيكم. شكرا جزيلا. السلام عليكم.
Thank you, Saeed, for making a very interesting insurance company presentation. Our next startup is Azan Al-Kindi from Rihal. Once he asked me, when you hear Rihal, what do you think of? So for me, I think as the data company of Oman. So please, Azan.
Thank you, Mohammed, for the introduction. Assalamu alaikum all. My name is Azan Al-Kindi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rihal. Rihal is a data company, as Mohammed has rightly said so. And what we do is we provide data solution for our clients, and we try our best to create them with the best of agility and quality to them. Looking at some numbers, until today, C-level executives still look at digital transformation as one of their top 5 priorities in their organizations, until today. And 50% of these CEOs say that digital transformation projects have actually created new revenue streams to their organizations. And data-driven organizations are 23 times more likely to acquire new customers. And yet, still, 70% of projects of digital transformation fall short of their actual goals. And the main reason behind this is legacy systems and legacy data. When we talk about digital transformation, we don't talk about moving from papers into a system. What we are talking about is moving from ERPs into customer-centric solutions, into AI-enabled solutions, into solutions that can meet your customer expectations. This is basically what digital transformation is, and this is what we are trying to do in Rihal. This is just a list of the services that we provide. We do data management end-to-end, software development, consulting services, RPA, as Saeed has rightfully said so, low-code development, AI, and machine learning. And the other thing that we have also done is we have ventured into creating our own products. So we now we provide a product called Bayanat, which is a data ingestion tool. We have Sebab, which is a data transformation, data extraction tool. It is responsible to around 40% of our revenue in Rihal. And we have Hasad, which is an AI-enabled professional services management timesheet tool. In April of 2020, we were hit with a pandemic, and then we basically sat and tried to contemplate what to do with our operations. So we had to make a lot of tough decisions. But one of the best decisions that we have made at the time is we have decided to go international and just see the international market and how it will actually work with us. And I'm happy to report that since then, we are currently operating in 11 countries around the world. Very proud of this, and we are actually operating in all of these countries remotely here from Oman, because of the pandemic, of course. When we started, we basically started Rihal in August of 2018, and then we had our first angel investor join in February 2019. As I said, in April of 2020, we started our international expansion, and then we have had our own back office in India. We have acquired the first company under Rihal, so it's a consulting services company. And then in December of 2021, we entered into our seed round with a valuation of $15 million. And then we acquired a second company that does training and software development. And in 2022, as I've mentioned, we started to productize the services that we provide to our clients. This is basically some of the numbers. Since we started, without fail, every year, we have managed to 3x our revenue, every year, without fail. In this year, we are projecting, in October, we projected that we'll end the year with $4.3 million. Alhamdulillah, we managed to shatter that forecast. 31% of our revenue comes from our international clients, and we have a healthy pipeline of more than $35 million. I have to be very honest here. I have copied these numbers from our finance guys. I'm not a finance person. But the number that I'm really proud of, and the number that I like to speak about the most, is the last one here, is the 140 young professionals that we have. We have amazing people, software developers, graduated from all over the world. 85% of them are Omani young software developers that are just eager to work and prove themselves. I'll just skip through the slide. I have a mentor, someone that I really look up to. He's the ex-managing director of the largest company in Oman. And I asked him this question. I asked him, how did you manage to go into an organization and lead a team of 8,000 people who are among the best in Oman? How did you manage to do this? And he gave me a set of answers that I'm happy to give to the highest bidder. But the answer that it resonated with me that I'm happy to share with you here is, in every meeting that I went to, I shared my vision to everyone in the team. So this is basically what I did. Every meeting I go to, every investor I speak with, every partner I talk to, every employee in Rihal, everyone knows that Rihal will IPO in 2026. Thank you, sir.
Really impressive. Thank you very much. How important is cloud, and specifically hyperscale cloud, to your growth journey? And to what extent do you need government support and any changes to data sovereignty and privacy?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the clients that we work with are very centric and sovereign to the data that they have. So a lot of the work that we do is actually on-premise, and we don't use really cloud solutions for them. But now, as the government is actually moving to a more of a cloud-first policy, it is still not there yet. We are definitely having a lot of issues into trying to scale our solutions. So just to give you an example, we have a solution that was generally made for a client, and just to deploy that solution into their server took the same amount as the actual implementation of the scope itself. So as the company or the country is moving more and more towards cloud, we as a startup, we will be able to actually scale much faster than what we have right now. Currently, there are some organizations that are more private. Where, an example, again, Saeed here, he was more than happy to use cloud, and for us, that is basically excites our developers, which is a very important thing. And the other thing is for us to scale, basically, yeah.
I'd also be interested a little bit in your client structures. I'm asking for a reason. I've seen many banks, legacy systems in banks, where digital transformation is connecting an Excel spreadsheet with a digital robot to another system. So how does your client structure look like? What are ideal clients you like to work with?
Yeah, so when we started with the oil and gas sector, because 90% of the GDP of Oman is in the oil and gas. So we basically, up till 2020, 95% of our revenue was from the oil and gas sector, because it's a sector that we really understand, and again, all of the money isn't there. But then in 2022, something amazing happened where we started to work with the telecom sector, with the logistics sector, and the banking sector. So now it's around 72% of our revenue comes from the oil and gas. Around 10% comes from the telecom sector. I think around 5 or 8% is from logistics, and then the rest is everything else. The banking sector is definitely one of the sectors that has a lot of data, and we would love to work with, but it's been definitely proven to be a bit challenging. We do have projects, but in the grand scale of things, it's much smaller than the others.
Your cash cow solution, the middle one, sounds a little bit like Ultrix on steroids. Like, what is the competition? What's the price point vis-a-vis that, and so on?
So, just pinpoint. It's not Ultrix on steroids, I have to say. Ultrix and Informatica, these are our competitors in the market. Our solution is tailor-made for oil and gas problems. So engineering oil and gas problems, normally you would not be able to do with solutions like Ultrix and Informatica. You will have to do it either manually or a solution like ours, which is basically custom-made, tailored for these kind of problems. To give you an example, a very quick one, there was a problem that the client thought that it would take 10 months to do, and we managed to do it in just 3 weeks, just because we have the solution that can actually accelerate doing this. Of course, we got paid 10 times less, but nevertheless, at least it scales, right? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Azza. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Azan. So Azan, as you know, they're hiring people left, right, and center, and they can't get enough. So to solve that problem, he went and bought a company to solve that issue for him. So I think that's a very amazing thing that he's done. Our next founder, Majid Al-Amri, the godfather of the startups of Oman.
Yes. Yes. Assalamu alaikum. مساء الخير. Thawani Pay, as he said, the godfather of real fighters. Yes. And here I don't refer to myself, I refer to my team actually. So Thawani, as many of you may already aware of, is the first fintech startup in Oman. I will take you through some boring slides. I will not spend a lot of time here, but this is the general outlook or a global outlook of the fintechs, top players, top investments. And if you look at the Middle East map, actually this is where Thawani is positioned. And this is actually our vision, our dream is to build the fintech of the Middle East. Our vision again is to build the real fintech of the Middle East. I'm not sure if really we'll be able to deliver this. We are trying our best, we are doing hard. And it's not because we are not trusting our capabilities or abilities as a team to deliver this vision. No, we are 1000% sure that we can deliver. But again, the fintech is one of the toughest industries or sectors to operate, and mainly because it is heavily regulated. And as you move from one country to another country, actually, you struggle with regulations. You spend a lot of timing, firefighting, aligning stakeholders, finding the right partners. And the best thing is our best partners are banks who hate us the most. And we have no option but is to try to work with them. Our journey actually started, in reality, the company has been trying to exist in Oman as early as 2010. 2010 to 2016 actually is the time we lost trying to convince people to believe in us and trying to convince regulators to allow us to operate and launch our fintech. And I refer here to investment ecosystem, society in general, the full size of stakeholders involved around business with policymakers, regulators, partners. And it took us more than actually 6 years, 2 more years. In 2018, we managed to launch Thawani as one of the very few fintechs, not only in Oman, however, in the region. That was under indirect license by Central Bank of Oman. We operated in partnership with a bank. And in 2020, we got our full-fledged license. We launched our full technology stack built in-house. And since then, we have been growing. I will show you the numbers very well. Now, 2023 onwards is the time where we are looking at international growth. List of products in Thawani. I'll not go through them one by one, but we offer payments solutions that are really convenient, affordable to both users and merchants, trying to bridge the gap between the obsolete and legacy technologies offered currently into the market and what the new market actually is expecting. And actually that has helped us a lot deliver a lot of solutions. So we have products that are targeted to retail customers, and we have products that are targeted to merchants. And alhamdulillah, we've managed to help a lot of SMEs, a lot of corporates actually do better, sell faster through the internet, especially during the pandemic. And in the next 3 months, we are releasing few more products that are at the very right-hand side, and that also should take us to the next phase of our operations. Tech team, alhamdulillah, the entire team is fully in-house, more than 45 team members. It started only with one person standing in front of you, and today it's more than 45, and we are growing. The entire technology is in-house. We are not outsourcing anything outside the jurisdiction of our offices. Everything is in-house. The entire technology is certified from PCI, from Visa, and from relevant parties. And alhamdulillah, we're very proud. The entire stack is built in-house by our team. Key data, and please, Your Highnesses, Excellencies, I want you to focus 2021 onwards. After you licensed us, after you gave us the trust, after you allowed us to operate with freedom, just see what happened. Our actually entire GMV went from less than 1 million to more than 35 million in the first 9 months only this year. And these numbers are not too accurate. Actually, they are a little bit more, but I didn't want to share the right numbers. But 35 million is only the 9 months of this year, compared to $8 million last year, and compared to 3 million before we receive any licensing from the government. Number of users, number of merchants. Thank you very much. No questions? Thank you.
Congratulations. Really great story around how onboarding your product into the government's system causes success. In terms of the settlements process that exists behind the application, so a transaction takes place and then money flows. Does money flow via yourself to the merchants?
Yeah.
And is there a time lag in that place, or is it automated in terms of process between you and the merchant and then holding on to your fee in between?
Yeah. We settle them in T+1, provided that we receive our funds from central bank in T+1. So on average capacity, we settle in T+1 and T+2. Sorry, it's a technical term, but it means we settle them next day or maximum in 2 days.
So the risk is back to back almost.
Exactly, yes.
And then I'd note your international expansion in 2023. Have you got particular geographies in mind?
Actually, we're already talking to a couple of central banks in the region. And alhamdulillah, there's a very good welcome. And also something that I'm really proud of is the reputation of Thawani is already there. And whenever we knock doors, they already know us. They know our story. They know our achievements. And alhamdulillah, there's a big welcome. That's the good part of the story. The sad part of the story is you have to go through the licensing product, which is really very tedious process.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, fantastic model. Thank you so much for sharing. I know quite a number of PSPs, neobanks, who are really struggling to make a profit out of customer acquisition, cost of licensing, you name it, running the tech stack. How does that look for you?
Actually, most of those companies, as you grow, actually, you don't see profits. And actually, you keep on fueling your startup. And the same scenario will also happen with us. We have big ambitions to take this company as an Omani company outside Oman internationally. And the more you burn, the more you grow. And actually, our startups, just like a couple of my friends here, is after customer acquisition. And customer acquisition cost is very high in this part of the world. And it costs us, especially in our type of service, where actually the Middle East and especially the GCC market is a very developed market, a very banking penetration is very high, and it will cost you even more to acquire the customer rather than doing this entire project somewhere else where banking penetration is very low. And definitely, yes, profitability is not the speedometer that my eyes are looking at every morning, is the growth itself. And then actually, in few years' time, our target is, again, like Rahal, they have pinned 2026 for IPO. We also have pinned some dates for hopefully IPO, where we will go public. Yes.
That's great, thank you. And I guess jointly we need to lobby for GCC fintech passporting. That would make that dream would make your life
Actually,
easier.
this is one of the things that I really mentioned in one of the events around the GCC where I participated. And also, Your Excellency, maybe this is something where you also can help us. In Europe, if you get a PSP license, you can operate in the entire Europe without additional licensing. But unfortunately, in the GCC, you have to be licensed in each and every country to be able to move to the next country. Yeah.
Last question. Unicorn, you said something interesting, like you didn't want to put the real numbers, but you want to be the unicorn. Tell us a little bit about that story towards unicorn, because now you said you also have a plan for IPO, which sometimes, you know.
This is my personal dream, which started in 2010. I wanted, and hopefully with the help of my friends, to build the first Omani unicorns. Many people, there are some hypes that we cannot deliver, or usually Arabs are absent from this space of unicorns. And we wanted to break that story. And I think all of us here, we have the right ingredients to create those unicorns, provided that we get the right help and the right supports from our governments.
No, but I mean, if you can elaborate a little bit on the actual status of that journey. So we saw 35 million, Omani Riyal million, which was not the real number. How are you funded? Like, where do we stand? What's the next round? What's the next step?
If you are pulling me to say a number about our valuation, we don't have an official formal valuation done yet because we have never raised funds yet. It's self-funded by an angel investor so far. But we are in the process of attracting investments sometime early next year. But until and unless that is public, then I can speak the numbers.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Majid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next startup is Harith Al-Muqbali, O Taxi, our Uber of Oman, hopefully, and Uber of the Middle East, inshallah.
Test. Assalamu alaikum. I'm glad to be here. I'm going to take you through a journey, what we have done with O Taxi. O Taxi, as summarized by my colleague Muhammad, he says the Uber of Oman, but we cannot bring a very international experience from Silicon Valley and bring it exactly at here. So there were so many barriers, so we localized the experience and it's an Uber. The journey for the drivers and passengers was not helpful, was not heavy. There was no standard rates, there was no regulations. There is no safety, and even for the drivers as well, they have to roam around and they have to have their passengers to pick up. But to put this together and connect them through platform, and that's what exactly did O Taxi, is connecting between them, between the parties, and establish a very standard regulation and very standard rates for it until it make a very nice journey for the passengers. We offer different sizes of services. We started from economy, then van, VIP, luxury, and recently we introduced very unique services in Oman, which is for female. A very service driver by females, girls driving girls, so you can't pick up daughters, and this is something really needed here in the region. Not also this, but we have additional services in the malls. We produce devices that if you don't have internet, if you have the phone, mobile devices, you can order a taxi just by one click. Okay, so we look at the numbers. We have reached right now with around 7,000, more than 7,000 trips a day, with circulated volume around $1.3 million every month. And there are more than 3,000 happy drivers. And this is really unique numbers here in Oman, because these 3,000 drivers is a sustainable income for all of them. They can make, and all this cash is going to the bucket of the Omanis that creating jobs and goes back to the economy again. One thing I haven't talked about it here, which is we have 3 areas in Oman, especially in the north of Oman, Musandam, and then in Masira, and then in Halayat, which the regulator allow us here to use exactly as Uber model, which is anybody with any car can join us. But for other parts of Oman, they have to be a taxi licensed. This is the journey of the growth. As my friends and colleagues, we got ahead. We started in 2018. Then we got ahead of Corona. We had very difficult time for 2 years. But after that good news, after the 2 years over, we start picking up the rhythm, and we've been growing an average around 10%. And as a result, the revenue also grows with that. We need to ensure during the journey not only to make the growth, but to make our customers happy. And there are several ways we measure that. We exactly measure. One of them by the rating, 5-star rating. After each trip, the customer or the passenger rate the trip. And 88%, this is what the data shows, 88% they are happy. And only few percentage that they are not happy. And we are tackling each case, one by one case, every day morning with a quality team. And also, the second indicator for us is the passenger is coming again to us and using the service. And I can tell you that 50% of the customers, they are using O Taxi more than twice a month, at least. And this is the third. This is very interesting chart. I like to watch it every month myself. It's the retention. So from the 100% customer, new customer that joining Otaxi, how much of them, or how many of them are coming back to Otaxi? And our statistics shows that 30%, once we have a new customer coming this month, 35% they are coming again next month. And they continue like that until 10% almost, we got them for life. We try to bench this mark with this data with some international operators like Careem and Uber, and we find out they are around 10% to 15%. We are here in Oman around 35%. That gives us really a plus point. We are market leader in Oman. We have built amazing brand. We have, with the minimum shorting time, within the less than 3-4 minutes, you can get a taxi. We are very transparent with the price. We are still growing, and there is still room to growth, big room to growth. And we are very friendly, transparent platform. Our model is simple. We are taking 16% from the total trip value, and this is taking us. The rest of this is the detailed calculation of our acquisitions and some marketing details. Okay. What's the future? Future for the next year, we want to focus still in Oman. We still have room to grow. We have a lot of things to offer and still things here. And the biggest challenge, we still have hotspots like airports and hotels. We are not allowed by the regulator to go and pick up customers from there. So we want to tackle these issues, and we focus by providing additional value to our customers. The second is to look for areas for expansion. Not necessarily to be tier 1 or tier 2 where it's covered by international players, but always there's rooms to grow somewhere. In Saudi Arabia or in Qatar or even in Kuwait. And there is some strength point that we can penetrate through that, and we expand. And also we want to expand vertically where we can introduce other services, food deliveries, for example, door-to-door deliveries in the next 3-4 years. Thank you very much for this journey. I'm listening if there is any questions.
Pretty simple one for me. So coming from a UK marketplace, I think the service is excellent compared to what I experienced with Uber in the UK. So congratulations. I noticed the expansion to other markets like food delivery, you're waiting till 2026. That seems like a very long time, given other markets around the world where it's quite prolific that your model would be used for food and groceries and similar.
We're starting next month, actually. Next month, but what I mean by 26 is we need to test the market. We are completely, as again, Uber experience and big experience is completely different. You cannot come and replicate. The big thing with the delivery is using other expats, let's say them, for deliveries. Here we want to use Omani for service, for this service. So the model is completely different. And we are starting the service is actually in the next 2-3 months. But we'll keep testing them until we find the equivalent point or until we find the trick point or the magic point where we can have the business. In the go, we are expecting this will take us sometimes, not 26, but before 26, we were going to expand on that. But actual preparation actually is happening in the next 3 months.
Great, thank you. And your 16% commission, how does that compare to the global markets of your peers? And does it still allow enough money to pay the drivers sufficiently so they're happy?
This is my magic word. Actually, it's very cheap. Careem in Saudi Arabia using 35%. In UK, I think it reached up to 40%. Plus, there's some additional costs as well associated with it. Here, we are manipulating. We want to be fair to the drivers. So and to arrange with everything. So we are keeping it, but it's up to go even more in the future. Yeah.
First of all, congratulations again. The first tip I got, this is my first visit to Oman, on the plane from a fellow passenger was, if you get a taxi, it has to be an O-taxi. Don't try anything else. So,
my hat for you.
Incredibly well done. I think you already answered the question on my mind. So what's keeping back the big international competitors? Is the market too small, or is it the value add and the low commission you have? So is it
very interesting question. This is an opportunity created for me.
From an international traveler, you sometimes get lazy. You got an Uber app, so that's what you use, regardless of what other services are available.
Okay. Uber. Very interesting question. Why international players couldn't reach Oman or couldn't penetrate Oman? First of all, Uber tried to penetrate Oman. in the past, but they looked at the market and they have different priorities. Of course, market size was not attractive for them at all. And I remember they said to me once, one guy he told me if we acquire entire market of Oman, they will increase zero value to over market value. So there is no benefit from that. But that size is very good enough and big enough for me, for local players to come and the second international player that tried to come to the region is Kareem. Well, Kareem, we're here. This is exactly you don't bring the technology and assume it will work fine. You bring the technology, but you need to align it. And with the locals, you need to go with the regulations. Kareem tried to operate in Oman for almost 1 year. He couldn't grow. He couldn't attract drivers. He couldn't do anything else. So he had also, in addition to that, he has also regulation problems here with the Ministry of Tourism, I remember, and with the Ministry of Transportation. Eventually, he had to leave just before Corona time. So that's, okay, what's bad for them is good for me. That gave me the chance to grow into the local market. And right now is to be very attractive for them if they want to come to Oman, is to acquire taxi than to penetrate the market themselves.
Yeah, thank you. Also, congratulations from my side. I have the app, but no car was available during the night at the airport that quickly. A couple of questions. Number one, I saw some branding on the cars, on the picture.
Yeah.
Do you make the drivers brand the car? Your captains or what? I don't know how you call them.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so they're tied with you. They cannot use multiple apps.
No.
Okay.
Okay, this is a very interesting question. We want, the regulator here in Oman insists that if you want to hire a driver, it has to be taxi licensed. And we have 40,000 orange taxi in Oman, and you have to. But our taxi, quality is different. We are on time. There is monetary, they are safe. We want to differentiate them. So we took a time with the regulators, with everybody which had related to this, to put our branding inside the cars, so that to give you differentiation to everybody and to give brand visibility as well. That's O-Taxi is different from the orange taxi.
Very good. Other question, one is the percentage, how much you're paying to drivers. I use a lot of these services, and typically the drivers complain about when they get paid. Like, for example, I don't know, once in a month, at the end of the month, like, how is the liquidity that you're giving to the drivers?
No, it's actually the drivers. We are dealing with the niche market of the drivers, and you need to understand this segment. Typically, this segment, they are living day by day, so they need the cash immediately. Okay. They need everything. They can't wait. They can't have this, and we understand this pain. But we have our also technical issues, especially when it's paid by car. So the maximum time we pay our drivers every week. This is the maximum time that they can wait. If he had a ride in Saturday, for example, maximum is 7 days. However, this is still not enough, and we are trying to shorten that cycle to 4 days. And that's we want to have more resources and more into data, into some automation, so that we have this process very streamlined and very lean and very efficient as well. Right now, it's 1 week.
Last question for me as a consumer, the most tricky one. If I'm going from A to B and the trip is short, sometimes they reject, or the drivers don't come, or they complain that it's too short a trip. What do you do about that?
Okay, it's very interesting. We have a quality department, they follow this exactly. This is exactly what we did in our taxi. We need to educate them. We need to tell them, this is how you make money. If you take from A to B, and that's short bit, but you will find another trip from B to A backwards. So you'll gain 2 ways. This is the cycle of education that we need to go with the drivers. We need to engage them. We need to be close to them every time. And we need to be very, very close with them. Actually, this is one of the challenges that we started with O-Taxi. Short trip value, they don't take it. They says it's not enough. I'm not, why I need to do it for 1 riyal or 1.5 riyal. But with the learnings, with education, with the engagement, with the bonus that we give, with everything, this is slowly start to change. So that segment, and if you are a passenger and you complain about that, we'll take it seriously through our quality department. However, this has dropped so much from what we started in 2018.
Thank you very much, Harith. Thank you.
Shukran.
our last startup, or last founder, Adnan al-Shaili, founder of eMushrif, as everyone knows, was a very important startup during the COVID, and they've helped us a lot during that period. And now they're going back to their roots, and I'll let Adnan explain more.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going last, so I hope that I still have your attention. I'll try to ask questions during the presentation, just to make sure that you are with me. Hi, everyone. My name is Adnan. I am the co-founder and CEO of eMushrif. eMushrif, our mission is to be the first mobility choice for students and parents by providing the utmost convenience, safety, and ride experience. So eMushrif started. I will give you I will tell you a short story how eMushrif started. But before that, if you look at the school transportation in the past 2 decades, school buses are still unreliable, and we still have dangerous driving behavior, which is unsafe for kids. So back in 2016, I was having dinner with my brother, and he told me a story about a student named Reem. So Reem was left on a school bus in the hot weather of Oman. She was left behind inside the bus, and unfortunately, Reem didn't make it. These sort of incidents happen here in Oman and in the region, and normally are not reported. So that triggered eMushrif. I thought, as my background is in electronic engineering, I thought, oh, I can build a device to ensure the safety inside the bus. So this is how we started. So eMushrif ensures the safety. Basically, we turn ordinary school buses into smart buses, smart and safe buses, by training the drivers and bus attendants on the best practices, by installing safety, bringing IoT into school transportation to monitor the buses with real time, also making the service affordable for parents. They can subscribe with different payment plans, and finally, having a dedicated customer service for parents. So looking at most of the service providers in the region, you cannot find these competitive advantage, and this is how eMushrif evolved. So let's have a look quickly at the Parents app. So for parents, we have easy steps for safety, reliability, and peace of mind. So you apply through the app for the service, for the safe and smart school transportation service. You select the home location, the school, and the app will give you the price, like a code, and then you can select the payment service that you want. And sit back and relax and monitor your kids, getting from home to school safely, and vice versa. And the app will provide you with notifications about the arrival and whereabouts of the kids when they get to the school and they get home. And it's currently available in Oman and Kuwait with like full operations. Now for operators as well, like schools or operators who own buses, we don't only provide them with safety system in the bus and like trip monitoring only. They can also do route optimization and route planning. So we invested in this engine in the past few years, and we built an engine for route optimization. It's a very difficult problem to solve because you're delivering many to many points. So it took a lot of effort to build that engine, but this engine will cut effort, time, and cost for operators. Because it does what it takes, like teams of 20 people working for at least 2 weeks to do the routing and route plan, and it does it in a day or two. So, and that's the platform as a service. So we have 2 business models. Basically, we provide the B2C to parents, and we provide platform as a service to operators. Our buses, raise your hand if you saw any of our buses on the streets. Thank you. So our buses are designed from inside, with taking care of all the electronics, safety of the kids from the inside, and brand awareness from the outside. And this is part of our mission, is to change the ride experience of the students. So it's not a normal school bus, it's a SAR bus. So we call it SAR, and SAR means in Arabic, went to school, so we say SAR. So these are our buses. If you look at the market size of school transportation, the market size in school transportation in the GCC only is $4 billion. When you look at this market in particular, it's a growing market. We have growing population in the region. We have more students going to schools every year, and we have scattered players. There's no one single player for school transportation. And it's innovation-driven, especially post-COVID. Like COVID changed a lot when it comes to technology, and it's still undisrupted. So this is the right time to enter this market, especially post-COVID, when school operation resumed. E-Mushrif operations, so as I mentioned, we started in 2016. We are fully operational in Oman and Kuwait in the GCC. We also opened our offices just recently. We opened a Dubai office beginning of the year, and last month we opened our office in Riyadh. The target is to start B2B operations, basically platform as a service, next academic year in these two markets. During COVID, I listened to the supply chain issue, so we had to establish entities in China and Turkey just to make sure that we solve our supply chain issue when it comes to components and buses. We tried to build our own buses in Turkey, customized for E-Mushrif. We have them here in Muscat. So these buses are customized with our safety standards, and we want to change as I mentioned, the ride experience, which is part of our mission. One of the company we acquired in Egypt, where we based our office in Cairo. So we have a development office in Cairo as well. So this is the current operations of E-Mushrif, and hopefully we expand to other markets in the future. As I mentioned, we are experienced in operations. We've been operating for the past 5 years, minus 2 years of COVID. We did more than 1,000 installations of buses. We served more than 100 schools, and we completed more than 2 million safe trips. But the biggest achievement is not these trips. The biggest achievement is preventing these incidents that I mentioned. So we actually prevented some incidents. We sent an alarm to a school where our system detected kids left behind, and we saved lives. So that's the biggest achievement of E-Mushrif. So just need a minute. So E-Mushrif actually journey is a bit different, where we have pre-COVID, post-COVID. Pre-COVID, we grew into 2 markets. We acquired a Kuwaiti company. We raised more than $3.5 million in several rounds. During COVID, there was no operation at all, where we stopped, all schools stopped, but we were lucky to become the government partner. So raise your hand if you used E-Mushrif during COVID. Okay. That's almost everyone traveled, came into the country, where E-Mushrif was handling all the platforms across the borders and providing information. We manufactured more than 500,000 quarantine bracelets. So our IoT solution, we provided this to the government of Oman, and it was under their control. And we served more than 2 million users from more than 150 countries coming to Oman. Post-COVID, we just launched SAR app B2C, and we are offering platform as a service in other markets and establish our regional presence. This is the team behind E-Mushrif. We are more than 100 talented and focused people. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank our backers, Oman Technology Fund, Phase Ventures, IDO Investment, Divinity Capital from Bahrain, DTech, Dubai Entrepreneurship Center, owned by the government of Dubai, and other also angel investors. And this is also an invitation for everyone to join our journey to make school transportation safer and smarter than ever. Thank you.
Congratulations. I think such a noble cause and really well executed.
Thank you.
I was not surprised, but interested with the difference in size between the market available for B2C versus B2B. Given the proliferation of mobile devices, seemingly at younger and younger ages, and other IoT devices that might be used, is there a lot of competition coming for sales to parents around location tracking?
Yeah. Let's start with the market size. So market size with B2C is huge because we considered every single means of transport from home to school. So if you look at every single means of transport, either through a traditional bus service or through a taxi or through a private driver, then the market is huge because that's the entire market. If you look at B2B, there are a number of operators that we looked at, and then the number of operators were limited because today only 30% of the population rely on school. This is a high number, actually, in the GCC compared to other countries. So 30% of the students rely on school transportation. And that's a big segment already. But if the service is reliable and safe, this will increase. So I think we'll have more operators in the future.
Just to clarify, so you're bundling the ticket price with the tracking capability?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. So this covers
fantastic.
everything.
Thank you, well done.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the second question about the competition is, I think, currently we compete with traditional operators like buses. We compete with taxi, like normal taxi services, private drivers, and there is Kareem for kids. This is like a new service. It's way more expensive and less convenient, but for us, we consider any means of transport is a competition from home to school and vice versa.
Just out of interest, are you focused on the school run only, or do you provide the service also for 5 kids who want to go somewhere, meet somewhere? The parents are stuck because they need to go to work and can't shuttle their kids around.
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we started, we focused on schools only, but we saw a lot of opportunities now vertically and horizontally. When it comes to monetization in the bus itself, or monetization with the users, and also in terms of providing other services other than transportation to schools. And we already started testing this. For example, in Kuwait, in Kuwait they have a season for what is called holiday houses. So every weekend, families go to chalet, they call it in Kuwait. So we provided them with this service. Through the app, you can book this service. In Oman, we also tested after-school activities, school trips. So with schools, this is the biggest monetization activity that we have, where schools can use our buses for their own trips. So we are testing these services, but the core business is school transportation, and a lot of monetization activities. We even tested food inside the school bus. We tested this in Kuwait. In Oman, we're testing ads on buses, where we sell it as B2B, and it turned out as the best gross profit margin. It's a great opportunity. So I believe the opportunities are huge in this market, because its barrier entry is very high. Once you capture the market and you have a number of users, you can do a lot of monetization activities.
Amazing, thank you. And if you ever come to the southwest of England, consider us as a client, please. Much needed.
One day, inshallah. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, and congratulations from my side as well. I have 2 questions related to the sort of B2C versus B2B model. Like, I'm personally a bit surprised that you would want to spend so much on the sort of B2C side, where you need to own the asset, maintain, da-da-da-da-da. So where do you see the growth trajectory? On the B2B platform as a service, or on the asset ownership side?
Yeah. I mean, to us, we figured out that each market is different. In Oman, for example, there are a lot of broken layers. If you look at other markets in the region, it's well regulated, well established. You have a lot of operators. It's much easier to sell to go there as B2B, and much harder to go as B2C, because you're going to compete with the big guys. In Oman, there are not a lot of big players, like well-established operators that you can just go with and then sell the platform as B2B, because you will be dependent on their quality of operations. And that happened in the first 2 to 3 years, where our service was as good as their operation. So we decided to do the entire operation ourselves. Now, when it comes to asset heavy, I agree with you. However, we have also a model where we lease buses, and then it becomes more lighter. And you cannot get to that level until you own your a small portion of buses, you verify the business model, you validate the operational model, and then you can have that model working. And this is the way forward. We did this in Kuwait. 90% of our operations is asset light.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Adnan.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
In a minute, we're going to have a QR code here, hopefully shortly. If you can scan it, there's 3 questions. The first question says, which of the 7 companies do you believe will be the next unicorn? That's one. The second one is, so just make sure you scan the code, and then the first question will be, which of the 7 companies, not to build infighting between them, but which one would you think will be the next unicorn of Oman? Second one is, if you had $1 million, which one would you invest in instead of going and buying a car or a house or getting married or something like that? And the last but not least, which of these companies would you love to work for? One by one? Okay, so we'll start with the first one. Okay. We'll give it a minute. So the first one is بالعربي. Okay, so for those, the next unicorn, so the first question in Arabic says, who's going to be the next unicorn? Naman. Let's see, if it reaches 100, then we'll stop the question. So we see there's some competition between Rihal and Thawani. I won't be surprised if Rihal is doing some hacking at the moment. Shall we go to the next question? So our first question, Rihal. So Rihal will be the first. We'll have, inshallah, have the Rihal Mafia, where from Rihal we'll get a bunch of VCs that will invest in the next wave of Omani startups. Can we get the next question, please? Okay, so and again, I'll translate. If you had $1 million, in which of these companies would you invest in? I think it's clear who wants to invest in Rihal. Everyone wants to invest in Rihal. Last question, which company you would like to work for? And I think you can't go wrong with any of the startups, from my experience. So which one would you like to work for? Again. Rihal. Well, congratulations, Rihal. Everyone wants to invest in you, thinks you're the next unicorn, and everyone wants to work for you. So it's being the data company, I think that's a great thing. Just before we go to the next part, hand over to the MC. Our extreme panel, if you can just give in 1 minute your feedback. You've heard 7 amazing founders talk about their journey and what they've reached to this point. And if you can just share your thoughts. 1 minute each, please.
So I found the session quite incredible. So many congratulations to you all. Really uplifting in terms of the potential of the startups within the country and the scaling journeys that you're all on. I think really goes to show all of the effort and energy that went into today and all of the conversations that are going on around the place. I think if the structure in the next decade is correct, the question isn't which one unicorn, it's how many. And how can we get guys like these, right to the front of the queue in the region and beyond?
I think I can directly add to Andrew. We were speaking in the morning about unicorns and saying they are kind of a lagging measure, right? They come later. What you really need to do in the beginning of an ecosystem is solve problems worth solving for. And all these we've seen tonight are incredible solutions for real problems. real-life problems for Omani society. So I think we got an incredible foundation here. Congratulations to spotting these and having pinpoint solutions that are so specific to your clients. Excellent. I think we also see a good measure or a good mix of companies, some with the potential to scale internationally, others more in their design and the way they are specific to Oman or the region around Oman, that possibly only will build a really good business but might not scale to the unicorn status or whatever it is. But in the end, I think that also is success. Somebody in the panel today coined the term of, it's not a unicorn, it's a camel. It doesn't explode in size, but it serves for a long time a very good business and a very worthy course. And I think we've seen these models as well. So a great mix of the two.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Like I'm a little bit speechless, and for 3 reasons. One, how they work with each other. So I'm using you. So the oldest hand in the business, 2010. So it's a fast evolving ecosystem, number one, which is good. Number two, I like the tangibility of where the solutions come from. For example, the 4401, we already have it. Like even our unicorn winner, like it's on an existing, basically it's made for the context of Oman or taxi as well. So that localization element. One crying eye, all male. Like where are the female entrepreneurs and unicorns? I think that's because they're usually more successful statistically. Yeah? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for that. With regards to the final point, at OTF, I'm happy to say that we have a very high portion of female founders. Actually, next round, hopefully. Before I hand over to the MC, just one final note. You've seen 7 founders here. They're amazing. Based on my early quick calculation, you have a valuation of more than $200 million in 7 seats. Each one of them will know which one is which. But the point is, this is a small part of the Omani ecosystem. There's a lot more behind them. And this is the amazing thing. As you rightly said, they work with each other. And this is without, let's say, the others or stakeholders actually facilitating this. So imagine if we're able to actually create a proper ecosystem that incentivizes people to work with each other and make their life easy, then I think we'll see more and more of this. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll hand over to the MC.
Thank you, Mohammed, for facilitating this showcase. شكراً للمهندس محمد الرسبي على إدارة فعالية عرض الشركات الأسرع نمواً في سلطنة عمان. والآن تتفضل سعادة حليمة بنت راشد الزرعية رئيسة هيئة تنمية المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة بدعوة معالي الدكتورة رحمة بنت إبراهيم المحروقية الموقرة لتكريم الشركات الناشئة المشاركة في هذه الأمسية. الشركات الناشئة المشاركة. أولاً، طلال بن مختار حسن، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة 44.01. معاذ بن أحمد الهنائي، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة عنصر. سعيد بن ناصر الراشدي، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة بيما. عزام بن قيس الكندي، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة رحال. ماجد بن فايل العامري، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة ثواني. حارث بن خميس المقبالي، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة أو تاكسي. عدنان بن أحمد الشعيلي، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة إي مشرف. والآن تقدم سعادة حليمة بنت راشد الزرعية، رئيسة هيئة تنمية المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، هدية الرعاية لمعالي الدكتورة رحمة بنت إبراهيم المحروقية الموقرة، وزيرة التعليم العالي والبحث العلمي والابتكار، لرعايتها لهذه الأمسية. أما الآن فندعو أصحاب الشركات الناشئة المشاركين في هذه الأمسية لأخذ صورة جماعية مع راعية الأمسية. And also with the panel team to come on the stage for the group photo, please. شكرا لكم. ختاما نتوجه بالشكر لكل الشركاء الاستراتيجيين المساهمين في تنظيم هذه الفعالية، كما نخص أصحاب الشركات الناشئة الذين عرضوا مشاريعهم في هذه الأمسية. شكرا لكم ونراكم غدا إن شاء الله.